Hi, let's go over the sales comparison approach as a real estate appraisal approach to value. The purpose of an appraisal is to assign value to a property. However, value can be influenced by different aspects and use of property. Therefore, most appraisals view value from three different methods: the sales comparison approach, the cost appreciation approach, and the income approach. The sales comparison approach is the strongest way to estimate value for vacant lots and single-family homes. The cost appreciation approach is often used to appraise new homes. The cost appreciation approach also works well to verify the values obtained through either a sales or income approach. The cost appreciation approach is commonly used to assign value for special purpose properties that have fewer comparable properties. The income approach is often used when the property produces income, such as with an apartment complex. Sales comparison approach method. The subject property is the property that is being appraised. Comparable properties are chosen that have sold in a recent timeline and within the same market area. Theory of method. The rationale for using the sales comparison approach to determine value is that an informed buyer will not pay more for a property than what other buyers are paying. Steps in the approach. 1. Gathering sales prices of recently sold comparable property. 2. Making dollar adjustments to the other sold property to account for property differences. 3. When adjusting multiple properties, their values are averaged to determine an estimate of value for the subject property. Adjustments. Properties that are as similar as possible are chosen. Adjustments are made to account for differences in square footage, the number of rooms, existence of garages, pools, etc. Adjustments are also made based on the appeal of location, such as whether one property is waterfront and one is not. If properties are chosen that were sold since the market changed in pricing levels, then adjustment is also made for the market difference. If the comparable property is better than the subject property, subtract value from the comparable property. If the comparable property is inferior to the subject property, add to the comparable property value. The amount added depends upon the value attributed to the difference. Subject property. The phrase subject property is the property that has the unknown value, or the property being appraised. Adjusted sales price. By adjusting the sales price of the comparable properties, the adjusted price should reflect the expected sale price of the subject property. Normally, more than one property is chosen as a comparison. This results in multiple adjusted prices. However, the adjusted prices may be added together and then divided by the number of the properties used to narrow down to one estimated price for the subject property. Sales comparison approach, story problem 1. A subject property has 3 bedrooms. One of the comparable properties sold for $140,000, and it has 4 bedrooms. Each bedroom is valued at $5,000. What is the adjusted value of the subject property based on the one comparable property? Solution. Because the subject property has less bedrooms than the comparable property, the value of the bedroom is subtracted from the sale price of the comparable property. So we take $140,000, the price that we know that the comparable property sold for, and we subtract the $5,000 value of the bedroom. So this equals $135,000 as the adjusted value. Adjusting for time difference. Adjustments may also be made to account for a change in the market based on time passed between sales. In a declining market, values are adjusted down. In an increasing market, values are adjusted up. The percentage adjusted will match the percentage shift of values in the market. Sales comparison approach, story problem 2. An appraiser found a very comparable property that was sold 9 months earlier for $310,000. Houses in the market were selling on an average of 25% higher than just 9 months earlier. Calculate the adjusted value based on the time adjustment. Solution. The quickest way to accomplish that is to multiply the comparable property by 1.25. 1 represents the value of the comparable plus the 0.25 as the increase. You could also multiply the comparable property by 25% and add the result to the comparable value. 310,000 times 1.25 equals $387,500 as the adjusted price. Could have been solved by multiplying 310,000 by 0.25, which is the 25%, to equal 77,500 added to the original price of 310,000 to give you the same value of $387,500. Average of multiple properties. To obtain an estimate of value, appraisers would generally choose 3 similar properties, make the adjustment for differences, and then calculate a price based on the average of the 3 properties. Sales comparison, story problem 3. An appraiser found 3 homes and adjusted for differences. The 3 adjusted values are 291,000, 315,000, and 325,000. What would be the adjusted value of the subject property based on those 3 values? Solution. Because multiple properties are being used as a comparison, total all 3 together and then divide by the number of the comparisons. And in this case, there are 3 comparisons, so you will be dividing by 3. So you add the $291,000 plus the $315,000 plus the $325,000 to equal $931,000 in total. And then you divide by 3 to equal the adjusted sales price of $310,333 rounded. Weighted reconciliation. An appraiser may choose comparable properties that the appraiser believes do not equally represent the subject property. The appraiser may then apply weighted reconciliation to each home rather than taking a mathematical average. Weighted reconciliation. Apply a percentage to each comparable, then total the results for the subject property's estimated value. Story problem. An appraiser located 3 comparable property sales. The first property sold for $291,000. The appraiser assigned 50% to that value, believing the property was the most like the subject property. A second property sold for $315,000. The appraiser assigned the value of 30% to that property. A third property sold for $325,000. The appraiser assigned 20% to that property, believing it was the least like the subject property. Calculate the value of the subject property based on these weighted values. Solution. To solve this problem, apply the assigned percentage to each comparable property, then total the results for the subject property's estimated value. We could then take the values of the comparable properties and multiply them by the weighted percent applied by the appraiser. So we have $291,000 for the first property that was assigned the 50% value. So we multiply that by 50% to equal the value of $145,500. For the second property, we have $315,000, which we multiply by 30% to equal $94,500. The third property is $325,000, which we multiply by 20% to equal $65,000. We then total the three values together. So we take $145,500 and add $94,500 plus the $65,000 to equal a total of $305,000, which is our adjusted value of the subject property. Types of property best suited for this approach. Neighborhoods that are well established with previous sales of other properties work well using the sales comparison approach. Vacant lots also work well using this approach.